Hey guys, so we are going to go over the practice tests for Chapter 6. It's very, very similar to the test that you will take tomorrow. The only major difference is that this is a whole lot shorter. So this is only 25 questions. Tomorrow it will be twice as long. It'll be 50 questions. Each of them is worth 2 points, so it is a 100-point test. It'll be the exact same setup, just expect about double of every type of problem. It looks a whole lot like the review that you guys did on Tuesday that we went over on Wednesday. So if you want to check back to that to see exactly what types of problems there will be, how many of each type, that'll give you a better example. But it will look a whole lot like this. It'll just be 50 questions instead of 25. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The first one, you have x multiplied by itself 4 times, so that's x to the 4th. Alright, number 2, we can go ahead and multiply the numbers in the front together first. So 2 times 3 gives you 6, and 6 times 7 is 42. You have 1a, so a to the first, or just a. There are 3 b's being multiplied, so that's b to the third. And 2 c's being multiplied, so c to the second. Alright, and this next one you're plugging in a number for the variable using substitution, and then you're just simplifying using the order of operations. So remember, when we plug anything in for a variable, we keep it in parentheses. That'll help us keep our signs straight and our operations straight. So in this one we will do exponents first, so 3 squared is 9. Next we'll do multiplication, so that gives us a minus 15. And then you add and subtract at the same time from left to right. So I can do 9 minus 15 first, that's negative 6 plus 2. And negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. You have more negatives, you subtract the numbers, keep the sign of the larger number since one's positive and one's negative, so that gives us a negative 4. Alright, and last one on this section, anything to the 0 power is the number 1. So I start with a 1. Minus, we just talked about 3 squared is 9. Plus 5 to the third, so that's 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 times 5 is 125. So after exponents, we typically do multiplication or division. There is no multiplication or division on this one, so we can just go right into adding and subtracting from left to right. So do these two first. That gives you negative 8 plus 125, which gives you positive 117. This is a whole lot of calculator work. So practice how to type it into the calculator now, so that when you're taking your test tomorrow, you know exactly how to type it in, and you won't need to ask questions. Alright, I'll leave this up there for just a second. Alright, I'm going to jump down to number 5. Here you're classifying as a monomial, binomial, or trinomial, so you're going to count the number of terms. Remember, terms are separated by plus and minus signs. So in number 5, 3x, that's just one term, so we'll call it a monomial. And in number 6, we have 1, 2, 3 terms. 3 is a trinomial. Alright, and if at any point you need more time, there should be a sub playing this video, I'm hoping. So tell the sub to pause it and catch up, and then we can go from there. This is also a publicly shared video on YouTube, so if you want to go ahead and watch it later tonight just to fill in the gaps, if you don't want to interrupt the class, that's an option as well. Alright, so jump down to 7. The directions tell you exactly what to do. These are combined like terms problems. If you don't like to read the directions, you can tell it's a like terms problem because there's a plus sign. When you're combining like terms, you have to first make sure they're like terms. So like terms have the same variable with the same exponent. In number 7, we do have like terms. We have 1x and 1x. You add those together and you get 2x. Alright, 8 is a like terms problem as well. We have 3 spots where I see x to the third, so these are all like terms, so we'll just add or subtract the coefficients. We have 6x to the third minus 2x to the third, that's 4x to the third. plus 7x to the third. That gives us 11x to the third. Alright, so that's the like terms section. Remember, when you're combining like terms, same variable, same exponent, with plus signs or minus signs in the middle, and you just add or subtract the numbers in the front. You do not change the variable, you do not change the exponent. Alright, the next rule we learned was how to multiply with exponents. Remember, when you're multiplying with exponents, the same bases, here we have m to the first times m to the first. So when you have the same base, like m and m, you just add the exponents. So this would be m to the second. You just add the 1 and the 1. Same thing on 10. We would add these exponents, so that would give us x to the fourth. And then you just have a regular old 3 and a regular old 5 that are being multiplied. So that's going to give us a 15 in the front. So again, we multiply the coefficients. Those are the numbers in the front. They're just regular old numbers. It's a multiplication problem, so multiply them. And then you add the exponents. So x to the fourth. I always say, when in doubt, you can write it out. So if you would prefer to write this one out, this is 3 times x times 5 times x times x. Well, you can see the 3 and the 5 are going to go together, and then you have 4 x's being multiplied. Alright, go ahead and jump to the back. So in the back we have an exponent to an exponent. The rule here is that you multiply the exponents. So for number 11 we'll have x to the 20th. Number 12 is one of those problems where if everything doesn't have an exponent, first you have to give it an exponent and then you multiply it by the exponent on the outside of the parentheses. So this is like 9 to the first, m to the first, all to the second. So you multiply each of these exponents, the 1 and the 1, by the 2 on the outside. So that would give us 81, because you can actually do the 9 squared. You can type it into the calculator. And then the m to the second stays m to the second. Alright, the next rule we learned is when you're dividing with exponents. When you're dividing with exponents, this is where you actually subtract the exponents with the same base. Another way we talked about doing this is if you wrote it out, you would have 10 A's over 2 A's. An A on the top and an A on the bottom cancel out, and that would leave you with 8 A's on the top, so you would have a to the 8th. So that's kind of the long version if you want to write out all the A's, or the short version is just to remember if it has the same base, you can just subtract the exponents. Alright, same thing on number 14. So we have x to the second over x to the first. So you subtract the exponents. 2 minus 1 gives us 1, so we'd have x to the first. But we have these numbers out front as well. Focus in on the 14 over 7. 14 over 7, that's 14 divided by 7. You've been doing that for years. It's just 2. The regular old rules for division. So don't confuse your rules for exponents with your rules for regular old numbers. The 14 and the 7 are regular old numbers. And you don't need the exponent of 1. You can write it if you want. It won't be wrong. It's just not completely necessary. Alright, keep it going. Number 15, these both need exponents. We're going to multiply each of those exponents by the exponent on the outside. That gives us x to the 5th over y to the 5th. They don't have the same base, so you can't go any further on this problem. That's as simple as it's going to get. And number 16, anything to the 0 power is 1. Alright, moving right along to 17. We are going to multiply each term by the 2 that's out front. This is called distributing. So 2 times x squared minus 2 times 4x plus 2 times 3. Now actually go through and do the multiplication. That's what needs to go on the answer line. So we'd have 2x squared minus, in the middle you'll get an 8x, and in the back you get a plus 6. All right, check out number 18. We have to do multiplication first before we can combine like terms. So I have 4x squared in the front plus, in the back I have x times 3x. That's just 3x squared. Now they both have x squareds, so you can go ahead and add the like terms. 3 plus 4 gives us 7, and then you just keep the x squared. You don't change the variable, you don't change the exponent. Just combining like terms. All right, number 19. You can do either part first. We'll go with the regular old numbers this time. So what we have here is just regular old 4 over regular old 12. This is just a fraction. You can simplify it. You've been doing this for years. If you want to use the calculator, it's the ABC button. So 4ABC 12 is how you would reduce this in the calculator. That would give you 1/3. So the 1 is on the top, the 3 is on the bottom. Now, x squared over x squared, that actually gives you x to the 0 power. And anything to the 0 power is 1. Well, we already have a 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So don't even worry about that. You don't even need to write anything. Check out your y's. You have y to the 4th over y to the 1st. So you can go ahead and subtract those exponents. 4 minus 1 is 3. So you have y to the 3rd on the top. Now, you can leave that 1 up there if you want, but 1 times y to the 3rd is just y to the 3rd, so if you want to drop the 1, you can. So we have y to the 3rd over 3. Alright, number 20, you got to do in two parts. First, we're going to distribute. So we have 2 times x plus 2 times 5y. Plus 3 times 2x minus, oops, I'm out of space, 3 times 7y. Alright, so go through and simplify using the multiplication. So, let me get the color going. 2 times x is 2x. Plus 2 times 5y is 10y. Plus 3 times 2x is 6x. Minus 3 times 7y is 21y. Go back through and combine any like terms, so the x's go with the x's. That gives us 8x. The y's go with the y's. 10 minus 21, both with y's, so just bring the y along for the ride. That's negative 11y, so minus 11y. Alright, and then we have number 21 tucked away right here. Nothing has an exponent in parentheses, so I'm going to give them all a 1. And then multiply each of them by 3. So that's going to be x to the 3rd, y to the 3rd, z to the 3rd. Alright, I'll give you a couple seconds to catch up, and then we'll talk about scientific notation. Alright, so remember, scientific notation is all about just moving the decimal and rewriting it as an exponent with a 10. So on number 22, the decimal starts in the back. So put a decimal behind the last 0. Count the number of jumps it takes to be behind the first number. 1, 2, 3. Then you rewrite it. So I have 4.5. You don't need all those zeros anymore. They're not important when the zero's after a decimal. It's not necessary to write it. So I have 4.5 times 10 to the however many jumps you made. We made 3 jumps, so it's to the 3rd power. Check out number 23. So we start in the back. We're making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps. So we have 7.745. You don't need any of those zeros. Once you get to the zeros, you don't need to write them. Times 10 to the 6 jumps, so 6 power. Alright, now we're doing that same process in reverse. So start where your decimal is, and now the exponent tells you how many times to jump. So 1, 2, 3. So this will be 8,534. And then number 25, we have 2 jumps. So we'll have 675. Now be careful. Let's look at that same problem like 25. Let me write the actual problem. So let's say we had this, but instead of 2 jumps, let's make it 4 jumps. So if you had something like that, you'd do 1, 2, and then every extra jump needs a placeholder. So you'd need 2 extra zeros. So you'd have 6, 7, 5, 0, 0. So be careful if you're jumping more than the number of places you have after the decimal, you have to have zeros as placeholders. I know there's a couple like that on the test tomorrow, so just study that as well. I think there were a few like that on the review from yesterday, so you can look back. There's just not any on the practice quiz, so you'll definitely want to look at that. So again, if you're doing more jumps than you have numbers after the decimal, you got to add those zeros as placeholders. Alright, so I'm sorry I can't be here with you guys today to go over this. Hopefully this video is enough of a review for you. If you still need some help reviewing, you can go up to the library after school. There's a math tutor up there that can help you. You can ask your LS teacher. You can get on YouTube and watch this video or old videos again. But you do have a test tomorrow, so make sure you spend as much time studying as you need to. Come prepared tomorrow. Use a calculator, type things in, write things out, do whatever you need to do well on this test. Okay, the test has 50 questions, 2 points each, so it's a 100-point test. Good luck, and I will see you all next week. Thanks.